Former President Thabo Mbeki will on Thursday deliver an inaugural lecture about late former Zambian President Kenneth Kaunda. Kaunda contributed to South Africa's transition to democracy in 1994. Mbeki, a fierce champion of Africa's renaissance, is expected to focus his remarks on the state of the continent and what can be done by Africans using lessons from Kaunda. The Drakensberg Boys Choir will also perform for Mbeki. Let's get more on this. SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena is standing by in Gallagher Estate. Very good afternoon to you. Just give us more on what's going to take place.
Well, Nzinga, as you are aware, this morning the Drakensberg Boys Choir visited the former president just to sing for him. You know that he turned 80 on Saturday that other week. But I think when we were there, we were able to speak to him, or we were able to do a doorstop and asking few questions around the current issues. One issue that is currently in the news is the issue of the crime that was committed at the president's residence in Palapala. And we were able to get his views. You know that he's the former president of the Republic. He is also the former president of the ANC, who is still very active in terms of trying to assist the ruling party to revive itself and to unite. For me, I think, Nzinga, the issue here is that the former president himself, you'd recall in 2005, he relieved the former deputy president of the Republic, Jacob Zuma, from his duties after there were allegations around corruption on the issues related to arms deal and Shabir Sheikh. And then he said that he is doing that because he wants to protect the presidency, the office. And therefore, if there are issues around that office, you have to act quickly. And when I asked him about the recent issue, he had this to say about what's happening to Palapala. But what was clear is that he has called on the law enforcement agency to speed up the process of investigations. As you know, that the president pointed out that the issue is now in the hands of the law enforcement agencies. But you read between the lines what is his view, even though he was diplomatic. Let's take a listen at what former President Thabo Mbeki had to say about the Palapala saga.
President Maposa has said, let's allow the law to take its course, and I sympathize with him. So that indeed, I hope that the scope, the Hawks, now, as they say, they are investigating and all that. We'll move on the matter speedily, because I'm quite certain from what I can see, the country is asking for many, many explanations about many things. And I'm quite sure that legal process will help us to provide these answers.
Yes, that's the former president talking about the Palapala issue. For him, the law enforcement agency must speed up the process so that these questions that are being asked by South Africans and other people outside the country, particularly, I'm sure, the diplomats, where they are in embassies, high commissioners outside South Africa, they have to explain to the outside world what this issue is all about, because here you have the dollars that are involved. This is a foreign currency. And then again, Zinga, he also responded to one question around that state capture. You are aware that the Chief Justice, who was the chair of the State Capture Commission, delivered the final report. And the former president of the Republic had this to say around the state capture, but also the role of the ANC in the implementation of the recommendations of the state capture. Let's take a listen at what former President Thabo Mbeki had to say about the State Capture Commission final report.
ANC has got a particular responsibility, you are quite correct, because where you are talking about all of these terrible things happening as a result of misgovernance. The ANC was the government. So it has got to take responsibility, look at itself, and see what it does, what went wrong with it, the ANC, that this kind of thing could happen. So it has to do something about itself, and it's got to do something to really to try and redress this great wrong that has been done to our society.
Yes, that was former President Thabo Mbeki talking about the state capture report in Nzinga.
Know that the Pan-African Parliament is set to convene. Just give us a preview of what we can expect from that.
Yes, you are correct, Nzinga. I'm standing here outside the building where we normally have the sessions of the Pan-African Parliament. We are here to get our accreditations because the Parliament will resume tomorrow. You are aware that this continental legislature had problems the last session where they couldn't elect the President of the Pan-African Parliament. So I think of interest is to see whether this time around we will have the new President of the Pan-African Parliament, because you can't have this important body as part of the constitutive act of the African Union, which is aimed at ensuring that ordinary Africans have access to issues that deals with the running of the continent from different countries, and there's synergy, not having a leader. But we are hopeful that tomorrow definitely it will be clearer whether elections will go ahead. We know that the SADC has presented 2 candidates and therefore already divided. Therefore, the issue of no rotation, no vote, I don't know this time around, they have no case. And secondly, the president of Senegal, who is currently the chair of the African Union, Macky Sall, is expected to address this August House. And I think he is going to call for synergy, is going to call for unity, but I think he will also touch on the international issues related to COVID-19, related to the global economy. As I speak to you now, the president of Senegal and the South African president, Cyril Ramaphosa, they are in Bavaria, in Germany, where they are taking part in the meeting of the G7, the industrialized nations in the world. And I think even there, they will be talking about issues that are likely to be discussed here at the Pan-African Parliament. Critical. How do you rebuild the global economy after COVID-19, issue of food security due to the war in Ukraine, and also supply on oil and gas, and the recent decision by Germany to use coal again for energy supply, which is very controversial when you look at what countries agreed on at the COP26 in the UK.
Sophie Mokoena, SABC News international editor, just giving us a roundup of some of the international issues making headlines there.